Welcome to the Marketing and Mindset Podcast, where we share expert tips for the mind, body, and soul to help your business thrive. Tune in for free marketing or mindset expert training to boost your business. Hello, welcome to Marketing and Mindset. I am so excited to be here. It's been a while, I feel, since I've done a recording, so I'm excited to get back to it. My name is Vanessa Cooper. I'm a marketing expert and content creator. And today we have an awesome guest, Isaiah Colton, who is an entrepreneur and business coach. And he is going to introduce himself, let us know a little bit about himself and what he does. And today we're talking about building a 7-figure business. Who doesn't want that? So Isaiah, if you could introduce yourself and let us know who you are, what you do, and how you got started.
Yeah, awesome. First of all, Vanessa, thanks for having me on your podcast. I am super pumped up about this topic because getting to 7 figures, a lot of people don't know this, but less than 7% of all businesses ever make it to 7 figures. But it doesn't have to be that way. And we're going to break down a step-by-step process on how they can make sure that they either get to their first 7 figures or go to their next 7 figures. And that's kind of my specialty. A little bit of background is I grew up in a real small town, Attica, New York, and I went to school for physical education, realized I hated it, not because phys ed's bad, just wasn't for me. And I actually I got involved into a direct selling sales job, and I fell in love with it. And most people didn't like that type of thing. For some reason, I liked it. I found I was really good at talking with people, and I was. And then I kind of got hooked up with the process of building teams, and I started studying marketing like on a very, very in-depth level. And then out of my dorm, I built a 6-figure business out of my dorm, where I was making more money in my business than I ever would in my career. And so I made a decision to become an entrepreneur at about a year or two after that. And then, I've had some various different projects, but most of my background started off with digital marketing and building sales teams. And I did that either as a consultant or direct employee for a period of time for several different companies coming out of college or after leaving college. And I'm proud to say that 3 out of the 3 main companies that I worked with, 2 out of the 3 of them actually became the fastest growing companies in the country, hitting in the top in the Inc. 500. And so along the way, I kind of developed the formula, and then I decided to take that formula to real estate. And in 2014, I partnered with some gentlemen to build a real estate brokerage, and we had 1,500% growth rate 3 years later in the brokerage. And then we kind of came up with a really creative model that kind of turned the brokerage more into like a digital marketing consulting firm, in addition to just having the brokerage. And that's kind of what I'm focused on today, is really providing cutting edge AI and digital marketing tools, strategies, and services to people in the home services industry. And my passion is actually the coaching side of it, though, is I have a mastermind group that I run specifically for people that are in the home services industry or high-level marketers that really want to lead with AI and digital marketing to grow their business. And it's been a wild ride. I've been very fortunate, to have about 100 employees now. We're doing. This year's been a little bit rough for a lot of people, but overall we're doing great. We're super excited to kind of dive into this topic. So
that's awesome. That's a great story. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that they like direct sales.
Yeah, exactly.
You might be the first.
I liked it. Yeah, it was weird. I got hooked on it. So
yeah, I can't say I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I did direct sales years ago, and it was not my cup of tea. Actually, that's how I got into marketing, is direct sales. Like I sucked at it, and I got coaching, and I learned how to do it and be good at it, and I still didn't like it.
Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of great marketers started in direct sales. They had some sort of experience with it, and that was kind of their evolution. Because if you have somebody who can understand the psychology, great marketers understand the psychology of their target market, right?
Yes.
And there's something about when you're actually selling something or communicating directly with that target market that helps you understand that on a different level than ever reading a book or, coming up with bullet points, from Chat GTP, but
Right.
actually experiencing that. And that was kind of like my competitive advantage is I understand the human psychology of my target market so well that when we go to come up with a go-to-market strategy and whatever business that we're launching or whatever target market that we're doing, that we truly understand the deep psychology of who we're communicating to from a marketing standpoint. So I have no doubt you became an awesome marketer if you have a little direct sales experience.
Yes, yes. And the what I learned with the psychology of it all is actually like my favorite part of marketing is the psychology behind it. Because if you nail that, it's a piece of cake. So I love it. I love it. Okay, so talking about building a 7-figure business, I'm sure those listening are like, but how do people build a 7-figure business?
Yeah.
What kind of businesses can build a 7-figure business? Like if someone's just starting out and they either have a product or a service, is this a possibility for anyone to do, or is it something where like you really need something tangible or something consumable or something that, you know what I mean, they're going to keep buying over and over? Or can like just a regular service-based business become a 7-figure business?
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal question. I think that almost any business can be a 7-figure business and do $1 million in revenue or more. And the plan should be to obviously grow as big as you possibly can. But if you think through the numbers up front, you'll quickly realize that it's more achievable than if you're in a service-based business, it's more achievable than people thought are possible. And that's where I start with all of my clients. Is I start on what do you actually think is possible, right? Like, what do you think is possible for your particular business, and seeing how they're framing it in their mind, because usually how they frame it in their mind and how they're thinking about their business affects every other decision. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and that's a lot of the reason why businesses don't make it to 7 figures is because they don't actually have a business plan to do so, believe it or not. Yeah. Because they're not thinking they can even do it. They're not dreaming they can do $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million in sales, because they're not dreaming it. They're not planning on it. And because they're not planning on it, they never actually can work towards that. So the answer is yes, 100%. Most businesses can.
Okay. I love it. And it's funny that you said that you asked them, like, where do they see themselves? Because with me, I started in Pinterest marketing, and right now I still do Pinterest marketing, but I'm also doing content creation more. I'm kind of leaning more towards that now. And something that stopped me from growing, and it's me, like 100%, I knew it was me. I did not want to scale my business to where I hired a bunch of other people to do Pinterest marketing for me, to where I could land the clients and then hand them off, because I'm kind of a control freak and I wanted to do it all by myself. And so that limited me. Like, I'm like, this is as big as this is going to get, because I know that I don't want to, I didn't want to manage people. I also didn't want to manage people. So I'm like, this is as big as I'm going to get. So I like that you kind of ask, because if you're like me, it is what it is. Like, I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly. Because not everybody wants a responsibility of running a 7 and 8 figure business.
Yeah, it is a lot. And not that I don't want to make that, but with Pinterest marketing, I don't want to make it with that. I'm like, I'm working on other stuff to get some passive income. And I think that, if you are in a business and that you're stopping yourself from reaching those goals, you might need to make a shift. But something I wanted to ask is where to begin. You said something about making a plan. So like, people can't just launch a business and then just like sit back and hope that magically it grows into a 7-figure business. Yeah. People need to be more intentional, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I literally have a step-by-step formula that I teach, and I'll try to get through it as much detail as I can here, but in more of like bullet point fashion. But the first one is knowing yourself. So a lot of people build a business plan and they just dive into the business plan. It's the biggest mistake that any entrepreneur can make, is you got to know what you want. What is your vision? What is your mission? And what are your values? And you have to really think through what those are. What do you want 10 years from now? What do you value so as you're building your business, what are the core values that you're going to look on? Do the research on what other companies have as core values that are in similar to what you're doing that makes them successful. And what is your actual mission, like outside of just creating a company that drives revenue? Like, what attaches you emotionally, and drives you and will drive your team? I call this a viral vision. And the difference between a viral vision and a vision is a regular vision. Basically, the solo entrepreneur or the business owner gets excited about it. Congratulations. Okay. A viral vision is set and formatted in a way where other people can actually get behind it and other people can get excited about it. And so it's really important to get the vision, mission, and values hammered out before you dive into the business plan. Because it will help you then develop the right business plan. And this is where I think a lot of people struggle, because we get so much information because we're seeing the TikTok influencers, we're seeing this person be successful at this. We have a couple people we admire. And what we do is subconsciously we're like, oh, that's how it's got to be. And that's how I need to do it because that's how they're doing it. Yeah. And it's really good to model things, don't get me wrong, but it's not really good to model people's lifestyle always. Because my lifestyle and what I want is different than yours and different than my partners or people that I teach, train, and coach. Because the business plan needs to be built on your lifestyle. And that's the next part is, what lifestyle do you want to live? Because the number one purpose, at least for the small business owner that's looking to scale, if you're getting into an enterprise type of business or you're raising capital, it's a little bit different. Because there's other obligations. But in most businesses, the purpose of the business is to be an extension of what that person wants in their life.
Right.
So building it out that way and say, okay, I don't want to work 80 hours, or I'm willing to work 80 hours for 3 to 5 weeks. I'm cool with that, right? Or whatever it may be, and looking at your resource, and this is kind of the formula to it, is looking at your personal resources, your skill sets, and your commitment to the business.
Right.
And building out your process and your plan and your lifestyle around that thought. So those are the first two key things, because I get people that come to me all the time, Vanessa, and they're like, yeah, I want to become a millionaire.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, why? Like, why?
Right.
What's the vision, mission, value behind that? And how are you going to do it? And what are you willing to put into it to get that?
Yeah.
And largely that's going to determine the framework of everything else. Then there's the business plan. Key components of the business plan that people are like overlook, that are really, really, really critical, is what is the demand for what you're doing?
Right.
And what niche within the demand of what you're doing can you dominate? Because any small business has their resources, their time, and their skill sets are all the biggest reasons why they're going to fail.
Yeah.
Or succeed. So channeling those resources, the time commitment, and the skill set towards what's going to give them the probability of success to help them cut through what I call the white noise of their business is the key to the first part of the business plan. Getting that part down. Now, that doesn't mean you can't pivot and you can't A/B test it and you can't work with it, right? Over time to find out if that's really the right niche. But because most people don't think about their time, their resources, they just try to shotgun everything.
Yeah.
And they think that in their mind, this shotgun mindset, if they just throw enough stuff out there that eventually something's going to stick, is the reason why they fail.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the next component and then here's what happens is, now that you have this rifle, see, a rifle actually penetrates. A lot of people don't know this, but when you shoot a shotgun, it sprays bullets, right. But a rifle penetrates with a bigger impact. So now you use this mindset, and now you're able to penetrate the marketplace with speed, accuracy, and a better client experience, therefore giving you more referrals and repeat business and creating a viral effect within that niche community.
Yeah.
So now now once you do that, now it's about making sure the next step is having an offer. And my mentor calls this an irresistible offer, an offer that you can't refuse. Meaning your offer has to be different than any other offer that's in your niche. It has to be more valuable. And so the rule of thumb is that the offer has to be so good that you would take it yourself.
Right.
Like, and it sounds silly, but like sometimes I see offers put together and I ask them, would you actually, as like at your level, would you actually buy this? Like, and be excited about paying
Right.
for this? And would you pay, and let me ask you this question, would you pay double for this? Would you pay triple for this? So the litmus test, so to speak, is if you personally wouldn't pay 50 to 80% to 90% more than what you're offering, then you don't have an irresistible offer that people can say no to, can't say no to.
Yeah.
So it's framing out that offer, right? And then from there, it's thinking through all of the ways you're going to get the offer to the marketplace. Are you going to do a funnel? Are you going to network? Are you going to do events?
Yeah.
Right? What's realistic based on like where you're at, the team that you have, to get the offer to the marketplace?
Right.
And then once you figure that out, then from there, you make sure you deliver a great client experience. You hyper focus on client experience. Once the offer comes in, once the sales come in, you make sure you're getting referrals to it, tracking the profitability of it, and making sure that that you're able to scale what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what I mean by scaling is that it's one thing for the solo entrepreneur to do something, but it's another thing to when you start getting other people involved. It has to be easy enough to duplicate out that process that somebody else can do it besides you, or else it's going to be really hard to ever get to 7 figures and really hard, and 8 figures and 9 figures, and really hard to do it profitably.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the framework. And if you get those 5 or 6 things to come together, you don't only just have a 7-figure business, you have a 9-figure business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wow. I got so much from that. It's not even funny. And I love the steps, like the game plan that you're talking about, and zoning in and niching down or niching down to what's working, the shotgun versus rifle comparison. It's funny, when I started years ago, with my current business, I did the same thing. I kind of threw out, it was like a shotgun blast, I called myself a VA, but I didn't know for what, what was my specialty? Who knew? I just wanted somebody to hire me to do anything,
Right.
And then it wasn't until I saw the demand for Pinterest marketing as a VA, I saw, a lot of people are interested in Pinterest marketing, that I zoned in on that, became an expert in that, and then was able
That's
to
great.
at least in my field, to as far as I'm willing to grow it, was able to, to succeed in that. So that was so important that you mentioned that, because I do see that happens a lot with people are just kind of desperate to succeed, that they don't care in what, and they're just kind of like generally not really focusing and zoning in on something that's really important to, like you said, have your mission and vision and values set. I love that.
Yeah, and I want to be clear about something. There might be a period of time where you do have to figure out your niche, kind of like what you went through. But I find that people are more afraid to niche sometimes once they have the opportunity to figure it out. And so once you figure out and you see it, you have to attack it.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yes, no, and it's true. And it's funny you said that, because I was really nervous to do that myself. So I was like, if I'm not offering all, and I still offer other services, but when people find me, they find me for that. That's what they're coming to me for. That's what they're asking me questions about. That's my expertise. That's my, my bread and butter, so I love that. And everything that you said about, duplicating it, meaning having that game plan where you can help somebody else do the same thing and duplicate it and duplicate and duplicate it. Like they say, like, you can't make a whole bunch of money unless you help somebody else make a whole bunch of money. That's exactly how you do it. So I love that. That's all so good. I wanted to ask, when it comes to becoming a 7-figure earner, I talked a little bit about with me, I do not, with my Pinterest marketing business, I do not want to grow that to where I'm hiring a bunch of people to do what I do and duplicating myself in a way,
Yeah.
to do the work so that I could start earning more. I don't want to do that. But is that something that it's absolutely positively required for any business to scale, whether it's a service or a product or whatever, to scale to 7 figures? Do you, without a doubt in your mind, like you have to hire a bunch of people, you're going to have to hire and grow a team beneath you to help you get there? Is that
Yeah, I love
positively
this is a really
required?
important this is a really important conversation, and this is actually what my platform is all about, is the old way of doing business versus the new way of doing business. The old way of doing business is the entrepreneur or the professional would go out and do the thing, right? They'd come up with a thing and then they go out and execute it on the thing. Or the next level entrepreneur hires other people to help them do the thing. But that's actually becoming antiquated. That model is old school. The new model is actually having AI or an artificial intelligence and technology to be programmed to go out and do the thing, to get it to the point where either the employee or the entrepreneur steps in and takes the thing over the finish line. And I break it down. It's not this clear cut, but it's the tactical things for artificial intelligence, and it's the strategic things for the employee or partner.
Right.
And if you can develop a business model where in every area of your business, AI is actually leading the way, because it's going to be more consistent. It's not going to make as many mistakes. As long as it's programmed properly, it'll work faster and more efficiently and more cost effectively than us doing it on our own.
Right.
And I have specific examples of what to share with you in a minute. But this new way allows the sole entrepreneur or the small team to grow faster, quicker, without having to take on the risk of big payroll, finding the right people, dealing with as many headaches, et cetera, and being more likely to be able to get to a multi-million-dollar business with a small, lean team, because they're using AI and technology first,
right,
in their business. An analogy I want to give you is, if you look at Iron Man, okay? So I'm a huge Marvel fan. Iron Man is like one of my favorite characters.
Iron Man's
And
cool. I love Marvel too.
yeah. So what made Iron Man great? He was smart. He had a really smart idea, right? And yeah, he had money. But if you look at what made him great, and this is what's so exciting about the new era of business, what made him great was actually his Iron Man suit. It was the technology that he developed to help him achieve his goal, his vision, and his cause.
Yeah.
And it was also, what made him great was other extensions of technology or AI versions of technology called Jarvis. Jarvis saved that man's life,
yeah,
hundreds of times,
right,
or helped him achieve something that he would have never been able to think through or achieve. And now, for the first time ever, the average human has the power of Jarvis at their fingertips.
yeah,
And they just have to figure out how to use it. The other thing that made Iron Man great, which a lot of people forget, though, is the people he put around him. It was the mentors, it was the teammates, it was the accountability partner. His number one accountability partner was actually Pepper.
yeah,
Right? Pepper kept that man like in line, or else who knows what would have happened, right? He also had a team, though. He had a team of people that saw the same vision as he did. Now, he could have got to a certain level, but still, even with the technology, he has to realize he realized he could only go so far on his own. And then the accountability partner, he realized, as much as he hated it, he needed accountability.
yeah, absolutely.
And I use that analogy because those are the key components of actually growing a successful business, is having those elements come together. But just knowing that if any one of those don't come together, you're going to have a limitation.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's okay. Just know it. Just know that it's there.
Right. yeah. Yeah, like mine, where I'm like, I don't want to grow a team. There's no limitation. It's there. It is what it is. I've accepted it,
You've accepted it.
Yeah. Okay. So
you can use AI though. You can create your own versions of Jarvis to actually be an extension of your team. And that's where the world's going. And we just, through our digital marketing company, we just rolled out a service called Rent Assistant. And you could have your own AI assistant
Oh, wow.
working for you. And it's becoming smarter and smarter over time on the things that it can do.
That's awesome. We might need to talk about that after this.
Yeah.
I did start using AI in my business to write up Pinterest pin descriptions for me. And it's
Nice.
absolutely amazing. I mean, it comes up with better descriptions than I think I could think of myself. The copywriting is outstanding. And that's just that, I've got other platforms that are building out the design, automation so that you can just like plug in what you want and it just does it for you. So that's something that I'm slowly playing with in my business to help become more efficient. And it's funny that you said that you don't need to build a huge giant team if your team members are efficient using the power of AI, which I love, and AI, I'm glad you're in it. It's my gosh, it's like taking over everything. It really is like, it's getting really huge. So that's amazing. I'm glad that's something that you incorporate into your business. And that I think that anyone who's at this point been afraid to incorporate it into their business really needs to like think about, falling behind if they don't start becoming more efficient with it.
So to share the power of it, I've saved and made $1 million in the last 4 months.
Wow. That's
just
amazing.
By implementing AI, between the consultants that I would have had to hire to do specific projects and also revenue growth. So between bottom line and top line revenue, and that's just a medium-sized company, right?
Right.
But I calculated over the next 10 years, it'll probably be an additional $15 to $20 million minimum savings and or top line revenue for our enterprise if we didn't grow at all by using AI.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question, and we're going to wind down because a little 10-minute timer popped up. It's going to be a 2-question in one. Okay. One, if somebody wants to become a 7-figure earner, but their mindset's not right, like it's just there's something going on, whether it's a negative mindset or they don't have the right money mindset or whatever the mindset needs to be in order to reach this. Share with us like what kind of mindset can stop you from really reaching those goals. And also anything that you have found, maybe it's not mindset that might stop you, but if there's anything, any big challenges that you see over and over and over again, a pattern that you see with entrepreneurs that is limiting them from reaching 7 figures. Can you share those with us?
Yeah, absolutely. General rule of thumb is if you visually can't see yourself stepping into or being a 7-figure earner, most likely it won't happen.
Right.
So a great case study is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He talks a lot about this and what helped him be so successful in multiple things as an influencer, as a bodybuilder, as a governor, as a entrepreneur. The man has succeeded in so many different things. And there's a great biography on him, and where he tells his story on Netflix. I encourage everybody to go watch it. It's very entertaining and inspiring. But it goes back to when he was younger. He got taught the power of visualization. And he made a commitment, and he grew up in like a very podunk part of, I forget exactly what town or country it was in, but it was an obscure town without a lot of resources. And he got introduced to and started seeing this bodybuilder and putting out a magazine. And so he kind of got excited about it, and he was starting to do the things, and he got introduced to a group of other bodybuilders, and one of his mentors said to him, "Arnold, what you're doing is actually less about the physical than it is about the mental." And he said, "I want you have to work on every day seeing yourself and visualizing yourself as if you are the person who won the trophy."
Right.
And he said, "I want you to commit every day to focusing on visualizing yourself as that person." And so what ended up happening is, over time, Arnold started believing he was already that person and acted like that person, and actually started being and doing the actions of that person because visually he saw himself as that person.
Right.
And so what ends up happening, the way that the brain works, there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. It's part of the back of the brain, and it runs everything on a subconscious level, essentially. So it blocks everything out that we've told that are not important to it. And so what ends up happening with anytime somebody's going after a goal, or they're trying to become a 7-figure earner, in this case, or build a 7-figure business, when they visually don't believe or see in their mind what that looks like, what that feels like, what that is, it creates a disconnect between the goal that's being set and how you're actually functioning on a subconscious level on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So very rarely have I seen somebody achieve the levels of success that they want to achieve if they did not first see it clearly in their mind.
Right.
And that would be that in my opinion, is the place to start, is molding your mindset on a daily basis to see yourself as that person.
Right. That's good. That's really good. It's funny that you talked about visualization. It's not something I've read too much on. I mean, I know about it, but not something that I've practiced so much.
Yeah.
But where I'm living now, I live in this it's a cute little like house, like a duplex type house connected to another one. And I used to drive by this neighborhood and I used to visualize myself living here like all the time.
Wow.
It's funny, it was like not an intentional, like I'm gonna make it happen.
It just kind of happened, right?
I would just think it over and over and over and over and over. And somehow I ended up here, and then I remember like, oh my gosh, I used to literally like dream of this. And here I am, because we were in like an apartment before this, but anyways, so it's just funny that you mentioned that, but I love it. I've learned so much in this conversation and I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing so much value. Like it's been great. I'm really excited to air this and write about it. I wanted to ask if anyone who's listened to this is like, okay, I'm ready to step up my game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take my business to the next level, or maybe they need to redo their business or whatever the case is to reach 7 figures and they want your help. Where can they find you? How can they connect with you? And if there's anything that you want to share, any freebies, or just let them know where they can find you is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have if you go to isaiahcolton.com, on there, there is a place that you can download what's called my Sales Acceleration Blueprint. It's right on the front page, and that blueprint is specifically designed to go step by step to get you to 7 and 8 figures. And it starts off with breaks down all the different steps that I covered here today in detail, and it's a free download. It's about 150-page download with images and pictures, because my brain operates like a 7th grader. So if I can't, our rule of thumb is if a 7th grader can't understand it, then we haven't done a good enough job developing materials to teach it.
Right.
And so it's a really comprehensive, where it gives you kind of like a checklist, but also interactive with visuals and pictures on helping somebody get to 7 and 8 figures in their business. So they can go there and check that out and download that for free.
That is awesome. That's really, really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll make sure to put the link for that in the show notes for this. And thank you again so much for coming on here. It was an awesome episode. If anyone's listening to this, feel free to go to his website, the links in the show notes, and check him out and connect. It was definitely really good. A lot of value that you shared today. So I really appreciate you coming on here, and I'm going to go ahead and end the episode for the day. You guys are listening to the Marketing and Mindset podcast, and I hope to see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.